didn't expect to be doing another live video after the last time. I'm not sure what to do if we're invaded by what do you call them? Not bots, trolls. I'm not sure how to make people. If somebody wanted to be a moderator, I think it was seeing it was seeing the report today about the arrest of 3 former managers who were at the Cancer Chest Hospital. I'm assuming, like other people are, it's Ian Harvey, Tony Chambers, and it would be the which is the third one? Which one would be the third one? Different names have been stated, but I'm not sure which one it is. I'll wait and see if some people come in to discuss this. I think, like I say, I wasn't going to do a video about it, or a live, but it just got me wondering what it can possibly mean. What can the effects be? I'll probably end up repeating all this later as an introduction. And there's somebody has just come in. Hello, whoever you are. Welcome to the stream, which I never thought I would stream again. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're keeping cool. 2 people. Hello there. Good afternoon. It's as some other people have said, it's not really a surprise what's happened, this arrest. I just looked at a Sky News report about it. Well, the written report. I haven't got a license to watch the live reporting. Oh, we're done. Oh, it's gone up to 2 again. Yeah, so it's, what is Hugh saying in that? Let's have a quick look. Not that I'm saying Sky is the best place to look it up. So they're saying, obviously, the corporate manslaughter investigation, so-called, is still ongoing. I need to do the invitation thing, don't I? Invite. So that's the invite. It's possible that not many people come along. I've just done this on the spur of the moment. I'll give it a little bit of time, and if it doesn't really pick up, then I'll stop it and maybe try it another time. Just interested in people's views. I've seen different views expressed in terms of it being that they've gone too far this time. This will be what breaks it all open, really. An act of hubris, if you will. Probably have to repeat some of this later. And that's the kind of thing I'd like to discuss, to see what people are thinking about it, which ways it could go in terms of the idea that people have said that these managers will be ready for this and they'll have a good legal support. But what might the range of outcomes be? A, if they're found guilty of what's the actual phrase being used here? Gross negligence manslaughter. So that can be related to an individual as opposed to the corporate manslaughter, which is a different focus, isn't it? That's about the trust as a whole. And so yeah, I'll put that in again. That's the link. It might be that this stream doesn't pick up because I haven't done one for so long, and I might just end it, but it was an impulse just to do it, really. I never thought I'd try it again because of the problems last time. I've got to be more careful. Try to keep an eye on the chat if there is one, and be careful about inviting people on the screen. But it's a bit tricky, that, because you're getting the trolls, and I think there'll be a few out tonight, as it were, because they'll have. I'm not on Twitter anymore, but there'll be stuff being spoken about on Twitter about this, won't there? Oh, we're picking up a bit more now. There's 6 people. Hello, everybody. So just talking about Nurse Lucy Letby and the arrests, the announcements. Cheshire Police have arrested 3 former managers. So obviously looking at Tony Chambers and Ian Harvey, but who is the third one? Has anybody found a source where it states that? I haven't as yet. Is it Arian Powell? Is it Karen Rees? Is it someone else? I think Mervyn stated another name. I can't remember what that name was now, but it was in Mervyn's most recent video I've been watching. I think it's Chris, isn't it, of Lucy Letby Analysis, speaking with Richard Gill, the second part of the interview as well. So I'll go back to that at some point. Oh, we're up to 11 people now. Oh, that's fun. That's great. Yeah, well, I just thought the other day, I don't know. This is a big move, isn't it, by the powers that be, the system, the beast system, shall we say? Or in my view, it is definitely a beast system of some sort. But like the video was saying the other night, I just don't think it's feasible for them to maintain this conviction of Lucy Letby. So it would seem as though going for these charges, to make these arrests, have they been charged? Is that right? Have they been charged? They've been arrested on suspicion, so they haven't been charged. So as I think, again, as Mervyn said, is it, and somebody else said, as quoting in one of the comments I read, and they were saying that somebody on Twitter, a guy's name, I can't remember his name now, but I know the account that they referred to. This is a delaying tactic. This is a way to shut down debate again. Possibly, I'm not sure. Is anybody else sure that if they, how will it help Lucy? Yeah, that's the kind of question. People are falling. Thanks, Wayne, and welcome. How people are falling into sort of different viewpoints with this quite naturally and quite positively and creatively in a way, in the sense they're saying, well, could this actually, somebody put it in a really good way. I'm sorry if I can't remember who did it, but they said it's a step back in order to make the big step forward. I know what they mean by that. Now, whether it does work out that way, I don't know. What I was going to say just a minute ago was, yeah, more cover-ups. That's right. T and RS, welcome, and welcome everybody else that's watching, stroke listening. So let's say it does reach a charge. Does that mean, and there's going to be a trial in the offing or at some point, to what degree can they stop public conversation about that? They can't, can they? They cannot, can they? Stop all reporting about a case that has been thus far reached a conclusion, i.e. the convictions of Lucy Letby. That's not sub judice anymore, is it? I think that's the phrase that's used. That's not about to be brought again, is it? Yet. I mean, it should be obviously just quashed, but so I don't think that could be the purpose of it, because I don't think they'd be allowed to stop reporting or continued discussion about Lucy Letby. So sorry, I'll read out some of the comments. So how will it help Lucy? More cover-ups. TR, thank you for continuing to highlight this, Mark. T and RS, thank you, T and RS. Lynn Salter, hi Lynn, welcome. And they've said there's no time scale on this. Yeah, so is it just a really, really cynical move to say we're still here? You know, it's not that far. It's a different strand, but it's not that far from what they've been doing continually in relation to the Liverpool Women's Hospital, to say, oh, we're still here, we're still investigating stuff, by the way. We know, oh, we hear, this is Cheshire Police now, stroke the whole system, really. We hear and we know that you've got that panel together and you've sent an application to the CCRC, but we're not finished with Lucy yet, by the way. Not that we ever have to bring it to any conclusion or make it into anything. It's a tactic. It's a devious threat tactic, really. Maybe that's what it is. Wayne Allen says, hi, Wayne. Have they been arrested because of a safeguarding issue, not reporting her when the suspicion arose? Well, they did take the steps. They brought in the RCPCH. They brought in, I'm forgetting some of the names now because I've been out of the talking about it for a little while I've been following other people's videos continually. They brought in, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting some of the names. There was other reports done by the neonatologist from London, forgotten her name for a minute, and then the forensic neonatologist as well. So they did all that, and that allowed them to go through the grievance process and come to a conclusion that there was no case for Lucy Letby to answer until Jairam, quote unquote, piqued the interest of the police. Hi, Tracy Heaford crew. Nice to see you. Nice to see everybody here. If this is taken to court, then I feel that it will open a Pandora's box and everything will come out. Yeah, that's very much in the spirit of a lot of the comments that I was reading. And that's very interesting, I think. And it could well be the case, and it could be their act of hubris. I don't go along with the idea that this is a staging point before arresting. Well, it's not that I don't go along with it. I can't see the logic of it, that this is a staging point before arresting some of the consultants. Because like I said in my sort of quite cross reaction video when I heard the news, that those two things are oppositional. You know, you don't start arresting people who are on your team. They might as well start arresting, Hughes might as well arrest himself, you know, or might as well arrest Dewey Evans, because it just throws the light back onto them about what they've done. Chris says, better defense could lead to further charges, possibly at consultant level or just a ruse. Well, I don't know. That's why I just see them as so oppositional, because going for the management is in alignment with going as a secondary thing. It's almost a necessary thing for them to continue the story, continues the narrative. If Lucy Letby is guilty in their eyes and it's all fine, then that's the necessary step they take. Well, who allowed it to happen? But it's also being done in the context of Lucy Letby's convictions being challenged at such a high level. That's why I've characterized it in that response video as being like a backlash, an attack against an attack. They're attacking the attacker as they see it, I think, anyway. So I don't want to miss any. The court would possibly be directed, though. How would they be directed, T and RS? They directed to, yeah, if you could flesh that out a little bit, that would really help. What your thoughts are about that, about in what way the court would be directed. Wayne Allen says, you've done a great job with your videos. Thanks very much, Wayne. Appreciate that. And so many people have done. I've been watching, you know, continually. I had a sort of bit of a, I suppose, a break from it in that sense, but I've not stopped watching things about it because there's so much incredible sort of forensic detail from Lucy Letby analysis, of course, has a book in the offing about it, and so many other people. I don't know if anybody wants to come on and to discuss this. Here is the link if you'd like to. Oh, hi, Melanistic Marble. Nice to see you. Sorry if I've missed anybody's names out. So you're agreeing with Tracy. What did Tracy say about, yeah, open Pandora's box? So Melanistic Marble is agreeing with Tracy, saying, I agree, Tracy. I mean, why didn't the consultants go straight to the Child Death Oversight Panel? Absolutely. I think that's the correct name. But I think the way the police want to continue they want to continue the baseline narrative is that those guys were heroes in their own lunchtime, those consultants. They did everything they could. And, you know, Jairam, he's like held up by some whistleblowing charity or organization, although there's another whistleblowing organization that really cast a lot of shade on him, wasn't there? I can't remember their name just now, but they said Nothing about them sounded like a bona fide whistleblower, i.e. Jairam. And that's because they're not. It is going to make issues for them going forward. It's this thing acting just through power. It's hubristic, and it's the whole hubris. Then you get Nemesis. Nemesis is going to come and bite their ass basically at some point. It's just how long it takes. Yeah, child death oversight panel. Yeah, I think that's the name of the. I think that's the name of it. Melanistic marble. Wayne Allen, TNRS agreeing with Wayne Allen. Remember what Dr. Gilby said at Thirlwall. What did she say again? Some of the information's a bit rusty in my mind. I can't remember. New defence team, will they chance it? It's interesting because, they're not being, if they do bring them to court, well, they're not going. They don't think they're going to be fighting Mark McDonald. They're going to be fighting other people who are possibly going to be taking the route. So these managers and their legal teams may take the route. Yes, we acknowledge that Lucy Letby is a murderer. We did all we could to look into it. We just didn't see it. And that might be their line of defense, not precisely, because if they go against this is the real trickiness now. If they go with the gambit of saying, look, we're going to defend ourselves by saying we never thought Lucy Letby was guilty, and we still don't think she's guilty now, are they going to have the courage to do that? Is their legal team going to advise them to do that? Because it would be like they're hitching themselves to someone who's already been convicted, and they're fighting for their lives now and their freedom potentially if it reaches a charge. So it's likely to be done to throw the scent off the consultants. Yeah, I think that's true. Hi, Philip. And another aspect to it is that, as people are saying, it's coming at a very particular time. It's coming at the time, early summer, which is the time period that Mark McDonald said, well, we hope that the CCRC are going to, give their answer, and they should expedite it. So they're doing it at a particular time. There's no mistakes in these timings, I think. T&RS says, maybe I don't understand enough about the judicial system, but I know it is corrupted. I agree, it's corrupted. That's what I mean by directed. Sorry, yes, I see what you mean. Right. So that it might be, yeah. So in other words, somebody might finesse this, get the right judge again, Goss Mark II, in order to consolidate the main narrative is that there's a serial killer. How do you consolidate that? You end up convicting. You need 3 more sacrificial lambs. 3 more sacrificial lambs to consolidate the earlier narrative, and you do them for gross negligence, manslaughter. That's how you consolidate it. When you've got the context of people saying that your original story is all rubbish and you've put an innocent person in prison. Tracy says, Dr. Gilby stated, thank you, you're telling me, Tracy saying what Dr. Gilby said at Thirlwall. Dr. Gilby stated that the managers said, the paediatricians couldn't accept that they weren't the best. Oh, thank you. Right. Thanks for reminding me. So when outcomes were poor, they looked for someone to blame. I'll always go back. Thank you for that. That's really helpful. Always going to go back to, what should we call her now? Oh God, I'm forgetting some of the names. I'll use no, I can't use the initial because then I'm giving away the code. Anyway, the consultant. You'll know who I mean, who wrote the letter in December 2015 saying, things are such a parlous state here that children are going to die and staff are going to have breakdowns, one or the other or both. So they kind of knew, they knew what was going on. They all knew what was going on. Trevor Lee, hi Trevor. The police yet again have arrested the wrong people. Exactly, yeah. There's no cure for stupid, absolutely. They keep arresting people for crimes that haven't happened. Now, once you've arrested one person for a crime that hasn't happened, then you're going to try to get other people for supporting the person who didn't commit the crime. It makes its own dark logical sense if you're stuck in that mindset of trying to convict people for crimes that didn't occur. It's the next step, you know, especially when, hi Yelda, nice to see you. The day will come, Cheshire Police will come under investigation. I hope so too. I hope so too. But in the meantime, they're going full steam ahead in their, it's not ignorance. It's not, in my view, it's not ignorance. It's done with absolute will and will to power. And that we're gonna stop this being overturned is what they want to do. It's a strategy. It's all part of a strategy. Davenport Sharky, nice to see you. No, they won't charge the consultants, Davenport says. This is in line with their insistence that Lucy's guilty. Of course it is. Yeah, it's congruent to it. It's just a continuation. And they refer once again to the Raw Liverpool and CoCH pre-2015. Exactly. It's a continuation of the story. In the teeth of all this criticism, and it's just been exposed to the world that the whole thing is a basket case, isn't it, really, of injustice. And they know that. So they're kind of desperate in one way. But like I was saying in that reaction video earlier today, what other direction are they going to go in? What other direction can they go in? Are they going to fold? No, they're not going to fold, you know. Tracy says, Stephanie Davis also said on Twitter that Cheshire Police should have been arrested because they weren't going to investigate initially. Oh, God, that's interesting. Well, they'll have to start arresting themselves for gross negligence of that. Well, or whatever the thing would be, you know, something dereliction of duty. It's all absurd. We're in the theatre of the absurd here, and we always have been. Hi, Casbar, nice to see you. I think it will open up the truth more. Big mistake for them. Yeah, I've seen a lot of that point of view coming across, and I think there's a lot in that, because but we've got to remember, have we not, that we're at the level of an arrest, and they don't necessarily have to charge someone. It doesn't necessarily have to go to court, but there's a power and there's an effect being brought to bear by just stating we've arrested someone. You know, they took, how long before the charge? They took over 2 years between the first arrest of Lucy Letby and the charge. You know, they could take a similar amount of time. Basically, they're just, I'm trying not to swear, they're effing with us. They're psychological fuckery is what it is. That's what it is on a major scale. Abuse and like Tasha and Amanda and other people are doing videos in relation to coercive control and narcissism. It's all of a piece, I think, in that. That's what it is. And that's what these institutions do, and that's what governments do, and that's what they're about these days. TNRS says, so much corruption in the court system, the higher-ups protect each other. Exactly. And this idea of separation of powers, I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. I know what they tell us. Does anyone believe it? At these higher echelons, it's as porous as everything. They all cross over, you know. My friend loves that series, Judge John Deed, with Martin Shaw playing the judge. I've watched a few episodes. I want to watch some more, but that's a lot about that, really, about political influencing the political influence of judges, and certain judges being removed from certain cases, other ones being brought in as a safe pair of hands, like Goss was, so forth. TNRS, sorry, I read that one. Thank you, TNRS. Davenport Sharkey says, if the three are charged, will it prevent media and public discussion of the case? Well, my contention, or my feeling about that is that it can't in relation to Lucy Letby per se, because that case has run its course thus far. I know it's got it's being applied as an application to the CCRC. Now, if that was successful and there was an appeal, a retrial in the offing, then that might change reporting restrictions. But at the moment, it's the convictions are in, as it were, and the appeal was initially rejected. So, in a sense, I know it's related, but this is these would be charges related to, but not directly the same as, would they? This is about negligence. You should have stopped somebody else doing the thing that we've already said and quote unquote proven in court, means nothing, that they've done, and it's been officially deemed the case that it's been done. So will it stop public discussion of the case? I don't think so. I mean, they did that with the retrial for Baby K, and that worked effectively. They did that. They can't repeat that with this, I don't believe. I just don't believe it. Well, the people on YouTube aren't going to be quiet in any case, are they? You know, high 4-star fuel. They couldn't make any findings from the attempted Thirlwall whitewash stick because of the international panel making a laughing stock of Dowie Evans' findings. So they've come up with this. Yes, it's just, I agree, it's a strategic move. And this is also interesting because Thirlwall was originally meant to be presenting its findings. I mean, I wasn't being facetious there. I mean, it in terms of the inquiry. The findings in the autumn of this year, wasn't it? But that it was put back. Now, why was it put back? Why was it put back? I can't remember if they ever said why it was put back. But these things don't happen accidentally, and there's strategy in the timings of everything they do, in my view. So I've read that one. Tracy Heaford Cruz says, I'm sure if they try to stop reporting, the likes of the New Yorker may carry on. Yeah, absolutely. And so many, it's not just one cat out of the bag. There's a whole, what's the collective noun for a group of cats? It's something of cats. Does anybody know? Are all out of the bag. If they throw the scent off the consultants, what is the management defense? The management defense is, and this is the crux, and this is why I was tempted to do a live even after the last experience, which was a bit difficult, and is that which way do the management go with a consent? You know, will they be looking after number one and decide to certainly not mount a defense saying that we still believe Lucy? No, we can't be guilty. This is their potential defense. We can't be guilty. We can't be guilty of gross negligence manslaughter because there was no manslaughter, because there was, because there were no murders. We can't be guilty of gross negligence manslaughter. That I think they may see that, and their legal counsel may see that as the most terribly risky thing to do, or a thing that they just can't countenance, even though they should really. But in terms of looking after their own interests, I don't think they would do that. I think they'll go along the lines of trying to fight the idea that they met the bar of what they could and should have done at the time, and they just didn't have the solid evidence until and they may say as a defense, oh well, we hadn't had the expert Dowie Evans hadn't come in and told us that there were murders then, and we didn't know. It was we couldn't find any evidence, and we asked all these reports to be made. We got, somebody remind me of the lady who did the Horden report. So I'm a bit rusty with some of the names. Horden report, RCPCH report, another name I can't remember offhand now. The forensic pathologist that re-looked at the 4 cases that Horden said needed further examination. If they throw this into, yes, sorry, I read that. Probably anything but admit that some, indeed many doctors, just not up to it. Well, yeah. And that's it. And I thank you, 4-star fuel. And as I was saying in the video the other night, I think it's just got the potential knock-on effect for the whole neonatal and obstetrics and the whole healthcare system in relation to child to birth and neonatology. And the potential domino effect of that is huge, incalculable. Hi, Rock Dodger, nice to see you. Good evening. And hi, Black, nice to see you. If you'd like to come on, if anybody wants to come on, I'll put the open invitation to anybody to come on if they wish to. Black Squarable saying, Black is saying, busy doing some emergency sewing. All right, so otherwise busy, but definitely listening. Oh, I hope that goes well. Emergency sewing, it's almost like extreme sewing, is it? Wasn't there a kind of a comic thing about doing extreme ironing, like you ironing? Sorry, I don't mean to be too light. I know there's a lot of serious stuff going on, but now and again, a bit of release some pressure, isn't it? But yeah, emergency sewing, that's important. I just got this image of, there was a sketch where somebody was doing some ironing. They were going down this precipitous thing on the back of an open top truck, and they were ironing some trousers going about 90 miles an hour. That extreme ironing. Anyway, enough of that. T&RS says, I just hope and pray that truth will be impossible to corrupt in any legal hearing. Well, they've done it already, unfortunately. They've denied the truth. They've undermined it, they've blocked the truth, and they've supplanted it with a whole bunch of lies. 4-star fuel says, so many senior doctors are lazy and dishonest. Yeah, still benefit claimants are easier targets, I suppose. Free looser. Yeah, well, there is a kind of, and people have said this for a long time now. Now, maybe I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but there's a kind of class thing here, or another way of describing it might be a status thing. So that, and this is why, and this is exemplified when I was watching the discussion between Lucy Letby analysis and Richard Gill. And they were talking about the rotor charts, etc., that was thrown up and used to ill effect or to bad effect in the to good effect for the prosecution. The doctors aren't on it because, why would you have them? Because they're at this higher status, aren't they? And we wouldn't countenance the idea that they could be involved, could we? Or a team of them even. Why not 2 or 3 of them? You could make a little nice row of X's and say, well, it's a team of these 3 doctors that was responsible for all these things happening. You could do that. You could have done that. They could have done that. Black Square, Tangled Web, exactly. It's the Despicables. Yeah, that's right, Chris. Black says, Mark, what's been on my mind as well is the yacht that sunk. Yeah, I don't know too much about that. Oh, that's to do with the guy, the Bayesian thing, is it? An individual was meant to be giving evidence. Oh, yeah, the Bayesian guy. Is that right? It's not that I'm forgetting these things. It's just so much. Some things are rusty, but that's the guy, isn't it? An individual was meant to be giving evidence in Lucy Letby trial and was in communication with David Davis MP about this in 3 days prior. Is he the guy that's the mathematician or the statistician? Is that the guy to do with the Bayesian theory? Hi, what name can I use for FS? Great name. Hi there. 3 days prior, a witness was run over and killed while out jogging. Oh, which one was that? I've forgotten that one. So there's the yacht that sinks, and then there was obviously not jogging on a yacht. This is someone separate. So someone else. Oh God. Oh, no, I can't remember that one. I need my memory jogging with that one, but thanks for that. If we can have some more detail on that, that'd be great. I don't believe it. Black Squirrel. Oh, Mike Lynch. Is that? Hi, Jonathan. Nice to see you. Is that the guy on the yacht, Mike Lynch? That's ringing a bell now. The name. Melanistic Marble says it was headline breaking news on BBC Online. Despite what's going on in the Parliament, says it all. Well, they don't release these things willy-nilly without thinking about timing, do they? So where are we in the context of timing? Well, it's the CRC are probably, possibly about to report or give a, you know, they're not meant to. Cheshire Police aren't meant to know what the CCRC are thinking right now. Or I can bet there's cross communications between all these parties all the time, and it's just, we're meant to just hi, cup of tea. Hi, Liz. Nice to see you there. Strategic move. Yeah, timing. Nice to see you, Liz. And Melanistic Marble and Jonathan and everybody else. Hi, Rock Dodger. A clouder of cats. Thank you. Thanks so much. Rock Dodger says clouder of cats for the, I was saying about the cats out of the bag. What's the multiple or group noun for a bunch of cats? It's a clouder. Fantastic. Murder of crows and a clouder of cats. What's the group name for a bunch of consultants, I wonder? Hi, Owen. Owen Matthews. Desperate times require desperate measures. Yeah, so there is, and people have said, I mean, if you're referring in terms of desperation to what they've just done, that's echoed in some of the other comments I've read, that this is a desperate move by them. And people have also related this continual repeating that they are still looking into, as they've done it again to Sky today, as Hughes has done it. Oh, we're still looking into Liverpool Women's Hospital, by the way. Still looking into that. We still haven't given up on all those extubations with all that phony data that they tried to push through at Thirlwall, which was smashed in one day on Twitter, as I remember. Remember that barrister tried to big up that absurd, incorrect data about extubations, and it was just like kicked out of the park in one day. Red wine, no, I was thinking of going to the shop, Peter, but I don't know. I thought it's better probably if I'm more focused, especially after what happened last time. Hi, Justin, nice to see you. So no red wine at the moment, just got some water. I haven't had any alcohol for quite a long time, actually. It's probably better I focus, especially if... Hi, Dan, nice to see you as well. Dan says, the managers didn't prevent the consultants from going to the police, so they are no more culpable. Well, that's true, and perhaps that might be a line of argument that I'm not sure it would, if they're taking that line of argument, it wouldn't be a way of saying, of absolving themselves. They just say, oh, it's not just us to blame, it's them as well. That's not a way for them to find a way to skate from, or to get out from. Now, I'm not saying skate because I don't think they've done anything wrong. But in their eyes, you know, how do they get out of this? What's the best strategy for if it's brought to a charge, it's going to reach a court case. What's the best strategy for those three managers in conjunction with their legal teams to take now for their own self-preservation? Because what they won't be doing is thinking of Lucy first. They won't be, will they? They won't be. It would be good if they were. It would be good if they were, but it's almost like hoping for something that's almost impossible to happen in this day and age, and in the way it's been run so far. I mean, going forward, sorry, I lost a bit of the flow with something. Sorry if I missed some of the... Is this the result of the Thirlwall inquiry? I don't think it is per se, Wayne Allen. I don't know what other people think, but because I think they've had, like, let me just check this Sky thing. They've been looking into this since 2020. So it says here, the investigation into corporate manslaughter, so that's the trust. It'd be the trust, wouldn't it, rather than the NHS wholesale. With that began in October 2023. And so when did this begin? The other one, I don't know. I don't know the exact date of when the gross negligence manslaughter began. Was that just the same sort of time? Casbar says, I've been stopped from discussing nurse Lucy Letby on Twitter. You've been stopped? My account under my name, Carol Monroe 1, disappeared last week. That's all. That's real awful. I didn't think that would be the case right now. Professor Gill and yourself, Mark, had added me recently too. Well, I'm no longer on Twitter, Casbar. My account shouldn't be there. It should have disappeared by now. But I'm sorry to hear that. I don't know what they're playing at there on Twitter. It's a weird place anyway. But Justin says, is it a question as to when they will draw another legal card on Lucy? By drawing another legal card, do you mean, Justin, that they'll make an attempt? Are you referring to the idea that they'll try to bring further charges in relation to pre-2015, i.e. the period between Lucy Letby finishing her degree and starting in January 2012, wasn't it? And so in that 3-year period, or indeed Liverpool Women's Hospital, is that the period you may be referring to? Mike Lynch was David Davis's friend. So Jonathan, is that the guy that's on the yacht that sank? And is he related to the Bayesian theory of statistics? Is that right? We're living in a post-truth world, yeah, unfortunately. Well, I mean, we shouldn't. No, I mean, the powers that be want us to believe that, and they're trying to do that through force of power. I mean, they're trying to inculcate into us that is the case. But I mean, it's not the case in reality. But reality will always fight that, and is fighting that. And that's why we're talking about this today and every other day and for years now, but that's what they want us to believe, so that because once you can do that, you can control people to such a degree. You know, that's what cults do. And it's a kind of cult-like power grabs that they're about, isn't it? The executive and the government, deep state, however we want to describe it. Trevor Lee says the doctors, weren't they making far few ward visits than they should have been? Yeah, we've got this thing about it's a level 2, but they're taking level 3 babies. But it was really only up to being a level 1, has never gone up to level 2 again. Should have been a 1 to possibly even 2 consultant ward rounds a day, and they're doing 2 a week. So if we do the maths, what kind of percentage are they doing there? They're doing 2 a week instead of doing 14 a week. So we're looking at, they're doing 10%, less than 10% of, no, it's not 10%, is it? It's between 10 and 20%. They're doing like less than a fifth of what they should be doing, something of that order. Is that right? My maths. Where's Professor Gill with the maths and everything else? To help with that. Yeah. So they should have been doing 2 a day, should have been doing 14 a week, or at least 1 a day. That they're doing a very small percentage of what they should be doing. So yes, surely this is more reason for arrest than the reason for arresting the hospital management. Well, there is a case to be made there that the management were managing an unsafe ward, and they should have known that unit was being run in an unsafe way. And indeed, Chambers received from Alison Timmis, that's her name, I just remembered her name again. Alison Timmis received that email just before Christmas 2015 saying, we're running an unsafe ward here. It's chaos. And that's a sickening thing at Thirlwall. I know we've gone over a lot of these points before, but just to reiterate it, that email gets reduced in power down to Thirlwall. Somehow they parlay it into just an expression of, we're a bit more busy than usual. An email that stated children are going to die and staff are going to have nervous breakdowns has been watered down by Thirlwall at Thirlwall to, we're just been a bit more busy than usual. That's what they did with that. That's how corrupt Thirlwall and everything that comes out of Thirlwall is. That's an exemplar of how corrupt that is. Have they arrested Evans? Sadly not. No. He should be arrested. The doctors, yes, sorry, I don't want to miss anybody. If she gets the green light from the CCRC, is it then that they'll draw another legal card for further prosecution? I don't know. So the green light from the CCRC, what that means is they're referring it back to the Court of Appeal. What kind of time period is there between a referral and the Court of Appeal. It is the case, is it not, that the CCRC can make a recommendation? And is the Court of Appeal then bound to accept that recommendation? Can they bat it back? Has one of the problems of the CCRC not been, please correct me if I've got this wrong, that the CCRC, this is what they're said to be, as well as being a basket case generally, is that they've been overcautious about sending referrals to the Court of Appeal because they don't want to be embarrassed or seen to be sending things that get sent back to them? Or is it that they've simply failed the appeal? I'm not sure exactly the nicety between those two outcomes. Peter Parker, hi. Have they arrested Evans? Sorry, I read that. 4-Star Fuel, the group name for a group of consultants, a bunch of knuts. Yeah, I think you'll find. Yeah, I think you're right there. Thank you for the reminder, and I think you're spot on there. Hi Tim, nice to see you there. Nice to see everybody. The truth will set us free, and hopefully Lucy too. You said, well, it must do. It has to. It's just about how long it's going to take. It's about how long it's going to take when someone's life is on the line day on day, and their life is being stolen, and they're in a state of being kidnapped by the state. That's the state. So the state is committing a crime, and it's committing many crimes, of course, but that's a bigger set of discussions. Owen Matthews, maybe the BBC Verify could do a piece on this. Not, yeah, yes, yeah. The fact checkers, that's what we need. We need fact checkers, don't we? I can't remember that. What's that fact checker's name? Mariana Spring. Let's get Mariana Spring on it to work this out. Peter Parker, who's going to verify BBC Verify? Yeah, well, we need AI to verify, to double check and fact check Mariana Spring. Trevor Lee is saying Jairam did not go to the police when he said he saw Lucy murdering a baby. Well, no, he certainly didn't. And we're looking at what was the number of months now between the time that he said in the email he saw this effectively. We're looking at it's more than a year, isn't it? I think it was either 13 or 15 months. And we've got the issue of which was kind of got lost a little bit in the weeds, as it were, of Breary being told by Dr. Z.A., who came up before by another name, Dr. Z.A., who passed on the golden nugget information about the amino assay results for baby F and presumably baby L as well, in a phone call that seemingly Breary, this is what we understand so far, unless somebody else understands it differently, seemingly Breary then appears to find off his own back again over a year later in 2018, but she's told him, rang him up in spring or winter stroke spring of 2017 and rang him up and said, oh, I just remember there was that immunoassay with I just thought I thought I should ignore it at the time, but I've just realized that, oh, that was another attempted murder, Steve, you know, best to get on it. And you go, oh, thanks Dr. Z.A., thanks for that, yeah, I'll get on that. And then he doesn't then he discovers it 13 months later, or brings it into the situation 13 months later, like you do, that's believable, isn't it? All that's believable. There's real massive holes of believability with a lot of this storytelling that we've heard and had to suck up. Well, we don't suck it up. We don't suck it up. Sorry, we reject it all, don't we? Jonathan Coe, thank you. Mike Lynch was the one who put David Davis onto the New Yorker article and allegedly was going to bankroll the campaign to get Lucy an appeal. Thank you. Was Mike Lynch related to being a mathematician or a statistician in some way, or is he? And he's the guy on the yacht, and the yacht sank. Some very odd stuff has gone on there, hasn't it? Hi, Angela, nice to see you. A few spare minutes to read the room. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff, a lot of great opinions coming up. Well, they're all great. and it's all grist to the mill. Tracy Heaford Crew says, it would be interesting to see Jayaram giving evidence again if this went to trial. Well, that's a good point. That's a great point, that who else would be brought in? Well, that's something that the legal teams of these managers will say if it does go to a trial. Will say, well, we want to call as our defence witness. We want to call for witnesses for the defence. So we're going to cross-examine them. We'll call Breary and Jayaram, shall we? But if the defence, if it does get to a trial, if the defence of the managers is that, oh, they fully agree Lucy Letby committed these murders, just that they weren't in a position to stop it, and they're being unfairly charged with allowing it to happen, then how is that going to help Lucy if that's the line they're taking? They've got to go one side of the fence or the other on that, haven't they? And I think it's really unlikely that if it went to a trial, and I think they'll all do the same thing. It's possible they've all got the same legal teams, maybe, or a legal firm that's helping them all, just to get on message, to get a defence worked up if it did reach a trial. It's not fair to scapegoat the managers. No, well, because it's like the double scapegoating. It's the scapegoating because of the scapegoating. And because scapegoat numero uno has been punished, you then need to scapegoat the people who protected the scapegoat or sought to protect the scapegoat to a certain degree, which is what they did do to a certain degree, to a certain... Well, I mean, they did do it to a degree, didn't they? Because Lucy Letby was due to come back. She would have come back. She had a date to come back. Had that scumbag Jayaram not piqued the interest of the police, who are also, from what we hear, with a caveat that we got to believe all this stuff verbatim, they didn't see a case there, did they? Didn't see a case. They didn't see anything to investigate. There was not enough evidence to investigate. Had Jayaram not done that and said, okay, yeah, we know we're sorry. We know we've bullied you, and but welcome back on the team, and whatever they had to do to swallow that in their overweening pride and narcissism, then yeah, what would have happened? Well, there would have been some medical negligence cases to add to the 18 that are ongoing now in relation to the neonatal unit at CoCH. There are 18 live ones. When they refer to, I don't know, but that was the figure on the FOI. Hi, Benita, nice to see you. Managers will deny and deflect blame back to the doctors. It's what they've been doing all along anyway. Well, in the sense of saying, if they're taking the line of defence, oh, well, yes, we now acknowledge that Lucy Letby is a serial killer, but it's not our fault. It's more the doctor's fault. Yeah, that might be the way that they try to save their own skin if this is brought to trial. Justin says, absolutely, thank you. Melanistic Marble says, Peep, 72 watching and only 19 likes. Click the oh, yes. Yeah, thank you, thanks, Melanistic. What name can I use for fuck's sake? That's what it means, F said. Sorry, I said the full thing. Trevor, he didn't tell anyone his story until 13 months later. That's exactly right, yeah. 13 months later, yeah, he slept on it while being haunted by nightmares every night about it, but managed to sleep on it and managed to do a lot of media shows and dress up as a clown and do a lot of gigs with the band Deluded and all that shit. 4-Star Fuel says the problem is that many gave evidence of Thirlwall in support of the serial killer. Precisely, and that's another. Thank you. That's another really thing. They've kind of hitched themselves to the wagon. They've hitched themselves to the wagon. Nobody went to Thirlwall. I mean, I know there was evidence given at Thirlwall in which nurses said, no, we never suspected Lucy Letby of anything. We never had any worries about her. But who went to Thirlwall and who was called to Thirlwall, whether it was management or other nurses or doctors that had been there, and said, She's innocent. You've got it all wrong. She's innocent now. You know, I don't think they did that, did they? They said they didn't suspect anything. So they've hitched themselves to that wagon. Those managers have already hitched themselves to it. So if they're brought to trial now, how can they run with the idea that they don't think she's guilty? They're in the business of saving their skin now, if it goes that way. But it might not even go to that. This is like perhaps the police stroke the system, the beast system, putting the frighteners on and trying to, it's lashing back. It's just lashing back. That's what I think. But that's a really important point for Starfield regarding the serial killer narrative vis-a-vis Thirlwall. 14%. Oh, 14%. Thank you. Was that in relation to the 14% of what they should have been doing in relation to the number of ward rounds that they were doing in relation to what they should have been doing? Thanks, Paul A. Thank you. Hi, Julie Yates. Lovely to see you. Mike Lynch had a long battle with a large corporation that went on for a long time after being falsely accused. Okay. He wanted to donate money to help other victims. Lucy was named by him. Right. So he had seen the rough end, the bad end of the so-called justice system, so he could, and that's been that's a bit of a motif, isn't it? That's a bit of a motif that people who have experienced personal injustice, either formally through that system or in their personal lives through job situations, they get this a lot more likely than people who haven't, I think. So she was named by him. Thank you, Julie. Peter Russell, hi Peter, says, surely the same could be said of other hospitals. If these people are convicted and Lucy stays in jail, this will have far-reaching consequences for the rest of the NHS. Well, that's the thing I was trying to talk about the other day, but the other day when I was saying that, but that was the way I was looking at it, was that it was on the proviso, on the basis that there isn't a serial killer, but there is systemic issues and problems with the level of care in neonatology across the board that could bring up hundreds, possibly thousands of legal claims against trusts across the country, and which could end up being billions of pounds. So where was I going with that? But there aren't, there are obviously problems with other trusts and other neonatal units. As I said in the video the other day, Dr. McLachlan's work, when he looked at compared 13 or 14 comparative hospitals, spikes very similar, some even greater relative spikes, so-called spikes in mortality in comparative hospitals around the same period of time, but they don't have quote unquote serial killers to explain for it. But so what is going to be, well, it hasn't been explained. You'd have to look at those individual trusts and see how many settlements have been made, how many people have settled, or how many ongoing negligence cases there are there. So yeah, but either way, Peter, I agree that the clouder of cats, the cat's out of the bag. One of the cat's out of the bag situations is that there's a major problem with the system as a whole, but they're trying to usher those cats back in somehow. But it's hard to herd cats, as someone once said, or something. You can't herd cats, can you? Robin Hood, hi Robin Hood. At 3 minutes in a Talk TV video, someone from the police say, quote. So Robin Hood goes on to quote someone, and since that time, one of the prosecution witnesses, Dr. Evans, has gone back on his story and basically said, I now believe she's not responsible for the deaths. What? Oh, let me read this again. Robin Hood is saying, at 3 minutes in a Talk TV video, someone from the police says, so this is a recent Talk TV video, and since that time, one of the prosecution witnesses, Dr. Evans, so Dr. Evans has gone back on his story and basically and basically said, I now believe she's not responsible for the deaths. Well, that's huge. Is that thing huge if true? Is that true? So I'm not doubting you, Robin Hood. I'm just saying whoever said this, I don't quite. Anyone knows what he's talking about? Yeah, I don't know, because I'd need to understand more about that, but that would be almost too much to wish for, wouldn't it? That I'd say that as either Evans has been visited by Archangel Michael, and he's done a turnaround and found grace and is telling the world that he's wrong, or it's something that I don't understand. I'm not sure what that means. But Trevor Chappell says Breary and Jairam must at some point be held to account, as Shu Lee has stated. Yes, the dominant narrative, or the narrative, is it dominant? There are competing narratives now, but the narrative which has led to the legal fact of conviction, and the unfortunate, iniquitous fact of Lucy's kidnapping, stroke incarceration, is the dominant fact that because it's been enacted in the world, isn't it? It's been enacted against her. Anyone knows? I don't know. The BBC couldn't verify horseshit. Totally agree, Jonathan Coe. Julie Yates, Robin Hood. If this is a fact, it's huge. Well, exactly, Julie. Yeah, that's what I thought. Huge if true. But I don't know what it refers to. Owen Matthew says, Lady Thirlwall, by taking a part in this controversy, is equally culpable unless she becomes clean promptly. Yeah, she's part of it. She's a state operator, isn't it? Like that other guy. Who was that other guy they used to wheel out? Who was the guy they wheeled out to do the thing on the death of Dr. David Kelly, whoever that guy is. Hutton, is it Lord Hutton? That establishment figures, safe pairs of hands again, as Goss was at a slightly lower level. But Thirlwall, yes, she's... But it's interesting, just as I was saying much earlier on in the stream, interesting that Thirlwall was delayed. Now, why the ostensible reason they give for delaying it and the actual reasons for the delay of the report being made could be two very different things, or more than two. In other words, it could be multiple reasons why they've delayed the reporting. But I totally agree, Owen. Robin says, my bad, it's the former Metropolitan Police Detective Chief Inspector Mike Neville. Oh, right. Oh, really? Really? Mike Neville. That's ringing a bell. No, I might be thinking of another guy called Mike Veal, and he was a chief inspector that was related to... Anybody that ring a bell? Hampshire, Mike Veal. He was a chief inspector I think it was in relation to former Prime Minister Ted Heath or something. I think he doesn't know what he's talking about. So is this guy Mike Neville saying that he doesn't believe that he's saying Evans is saying that? I'm a bit confused here. Is Mike Neville saying that he doesn't believe Lucy Letby has committed these crimes, because there were no crimes? Or is he saying that he's saying Evans is saying that? It's a bit hard to... I'd have to listen to the show. I guess we'd have to listen to that. Hi, Lucy Letby Analysis. Nice to see you. At 3 minutes in a Talk TV video, someone from police say, do you have a link for this video, please? Yeah, that would be... I think we need to see what this guy is saying. Is it reported speech? Is it things at 2 removes? It's someone saying someone else is saying something. Rock Dodger, Mike Lynch was big into AI stats, etc. Oh, thank you for that. AI, right? Statistics and AI. I got this idea that he's linked to the Bayesian thing. Not that he is the guy that created it, but there was some link there. I seem to remember Professor Gill talking about that. Robin Hood, I can't share the link. Talk TV failed to act 4-ish hours ago. Failed to act. Right, interesting. That's interesting. Julie Yates continues in respect of Mike Lynch. Mike Lynch had a computer-type business bought out for a lot of money by one of the huge multinationals. Okay. They then claimed he misrepresented the product, litigated, and lost, I believed. And lost, I believed. Who lost? Would that be the... So did they claim that he misrepresented, they litigated against him, and then they lost? Oh no, you were saying earlier that he was burned by it, so he litigated against them, saying... So he lost, did he, Mike Lynch? Is that right? And that's why he feels he can see or be more open to the idea of injustices within this system. Melanistic Marble says the managers didn't know what the consultants were up to, e.g. admitting babies they weren't up to looking after. That came out at Thirlwall. That's right. It's this idea, I think it was Tony Chambers, was it not? Or was it Ian Harvey? I know it was one of the two of them, where he stated as saying, and this is before Thirlwall reported, before it even began, in which one of them said, well, I didn't know we were taking babies at this low gestation or at this low weight. I didn't know we were taking, I think it was a mixture of the quantity of them and babies at this level of need, that he was sort of surprised by it. I believe that had come out prior to Thirlwall beginning. But then I keep going back to Alison Timmis in the email. So they were told, I don't think that's ever been tracked forward, in terms of what was the response to that. That email got to Tony Chambers. It's chaos here. Babies are going to die, or staff are having nervous breakdowns. What was the response to that? So it kind of makes it hard to believe that the management could be sort of innocent of that when they're being told that in December 2015. And we've seen the email, haven't we? We've seen it. Justin Valverde says, I think the baby K charge potential could be quashed at the appeal courts due to the email. Fresh evidence to get the appeal. Well, they've run the course of the appeal system, haven't they? So this is another route to a different. Well, they've run the 2 stages of the appeal, haven't they? They've run that. They can't. Is that right? The 2 stages vis-a-vis the July 2024 case, Baby K case. That's come to the end of that route. So they've done it holistically, haven't they, with the CCRC application? There's no separate CCRC application solely in relation to Baby K. They've gone for it all, haven't they? Which is what you need to do, I think. I think I've got that right. David Brown, hi David, says, Cheshire Constabulary still quiet on David Davis requests that they investigate Jairam for perjury. Yes, they put that on the back burner. They've filed that in the WPB, the waste paper basket. That's where they filed that. You can, and I've known this to have dealings with the police on a much smaller scale over the last number of years. You can get in touch with them. It just thinks it disappears into a black hole. So that's gone into some kind of black hole, that has. But they can appear to be and give the impression that, we're still you'd ring them up about it, or you'd write to them. And even David Davis would, and look how much more clout he would have than the ordinary citizen. And they say, yeah, we're still considering it. We're still investigating it, Mr. Davis, sir. We're still investigating it, sir. Thank you. Yeah, we'll let you know. And then never let them know. Never let them know. Tracy Heaford Cruz says, I'm sure David Davis will chase that request regarding Jairam. I hope he will, and he should do. It's about pressure, isn't it? It's about continued and continual pressure. The biggest pressure will be it's beyond pressure. It will be, I'm not saying it will be a fait accompli, but if the CCRC refer it to the Court of Appeal, that's the game changer. It doesn't necessarily mean that exoneration follows, but it should mean that. But you've got to get through that hurdle. I've just thought of something. I've just thought of something to see what people think. There was a downer, understandably. Most most obviously for Colin Norris and his family when that repeal was rejected. And I know a lot of people said, look how long it's taken him to get to that. But nonetheless, it did get through the CCRC. So, and I don't know how we can compare the two. We haven't seen the two applications side by side, have we? We haven't seen either application in its fullness. We know Shuli's report and the report of the panel are the foundation stone of the application regarding Lucy Letby. And some people may know some of the details of the application that the CCRC drafted or that they passed through to the Court of Appeal in relation to Colin Norris. But nonetheless, it got through them. I think that's very positive in light. So if cutting to the chase, if that can get through there for Colin Norris, how much more so? I don't know whether I should say how much more so, but why not equally so Lucy Letby's application with the world-class experts behind it? That's perhaps another way of thinking about it, perhaps. Although people have made the point quite understandably that, well, it's taken all those years and it's been rejected. And it's the idea that and this is the sinister element of the system, is if they can drag it out, it's one of their strategies to do that. Not because they're trying to do the right thing, but it's the punishment itself. The process is the punishment concept, and we're seeing that as a default way that power acts now. Process is the punishment. Mike N says, sorry, it's just been me gabbling just in terms of the video element of it, but the fantastic chat seems to light a term to use. The discussion through the people on the I suppose it's called the chat, isn't it? It's been absolutely fantastic and so thought-provoking. I don't want to miss anybody's points, and that's the reason why I kind of did this, had an impetus to do this live today, because I never thought I'd do another live thing. It's because I think a lot of people have got a lot of things to say about this. I was reading it in the comments and I wanted to glean and see more what people were saying from different angles about this, because this is it's definitely a move by the system. They've made a move with this, haven't they? Mike N says, sorry, I don't want to miss people's stuff. I'm getting a bit behind. Trevor Chappell said, Jayan was a key witness at both trials. Yes. Right. Yeah. Key witness. Mike N says, an investigation into the management will bang into Lucy Letby's conviction. It could go in her favour. Yeah, that's people are leaning towards that it's almost like by doing this, it's an act of hubris. Have they got a tiger by the tail? They don't know where it's going to lead to. They think but it's really just at the arrest stage. It might be that they've got no intention to bring charges, but they're using the leverage of the noise of this in some way as a strategic move. Because this is it's like war, isn't it? It's a war, really. It's a war for justice and a war for the truth, and they're using strategic moves, and they're on the side of injustice, basically. Trevor says Jayan was a key witness at both trials, and if he has committed perjury, all convictions are unsafe. Yeah, absolutely. I believe he has committed perjury. Whether they can prove it, well, it's not about proving it. I think he absolutely has, but whether somebody clever could defend his way out of it, if they want to keep the serial killer story going in perpetuity and keep an innocent person in perpetuity in prison, then you've got to protect Jayan, you've got to protect Breary, you've got to protect Gibbs, you've got to protect all the consultants, you've got to protect Evans, even though he's a loose cannon for them and they've told him to shut up, but he won't shut up. Tracy Heaford Crew says, Mike, and I feel that it will go in Lucy's favour. Managers will have a better defence and more information. Yeah, it's very interesting, these points being made, but what will the nature of their defense be? If part of the nature of the defense be is, yes, we acknowledge that she's a serial killer, then it's not that simple as that. Could still, I don't know. It's almost like it's like the Gordian knot. It's hard to untie all the potentials of what this could be, because it's so knotted now, and whether it'll ever be brought to fruition as a charge even. Mark, this is the video. Sorry, are you talking in relation to the Talk TV video, Julie, or is it to do with Mike Lynch? Thank you for that. Dan Court says, the managers could draw on Shuli's new evidence as a defence. Well, they could do, but then they have to, as somebody else made the point, and this is where they've hitched themselves to the wagon at Thirlwall, haven't they? And do they want to be, and this is probably a crude term, but I don't mean it in a crude way, do they want to be in bed with, as it were, someone who's been convicted of multiple murders and seen to be on that person's side? Now, in truth, they should be. In truth, they absolutely should be. In honour, they should be. But when they're looking after number one, and if they are brought to trial, that won't be their concern at all, unless it's deemed strategic to do it that way. But I can't, at the moment, it's early days, early doors. How would that benefit them? I can only see that hurting them. I don't know. There's a lot of game playing going on here with the police especially, and it's an arrest. It's an arrest. It's not a charge, as we know. 4-Star Fuel says, I think they delayed Thirlwall. Okay, this is interesting. So why do you think this? I think they delayed Thirlwall because the report would look ridiculous in light of Shuli's findings. Yeah, it is probably being doctored as we speak. This is horrendous. Yeah, it's because things are open-ended now. Yeah, they can't report it. Thirlwall was a charade, but in order for it not to be seen, but it's already seen as a charade by many of us, or all of us, that I think it is really in large part. But in order to have some plausible deniability later down the line and retrospectively, they've got to pause. They had to pause it in order to see what happens with the CCRC, because they could feel and sense the tide changing, couldn't they? And so they could still, what's the word, pivot at some opportune moment for themselves and say, well, we weren't charged with deciding guilt and innocent, as Thirlwall, as she said herself, it wasn't my remit to decide that. The courts decided that. Okay, now the courts have decided that there was innocence there. Now we can make the Thirlwall inquiry into something else. We can make it into something new. Either we stop it or we change its direction, and it's all about safety in neonatology. But I don't think they'd do that. They'd have to have a brand new inquiry into that for another few £100 million or so, you know. Sorry, I'm speaking too much on it. Trevor Chappell says, if managers are taken to court, they will want Breer in jar and questioned about babies O and K. This is where this is fascinating in this conversation, all the points being made, because this is where it keeps coming up against it. Because if the defence that the managers are going to use, if they are brought to court, is to say, hold on a minute, we're going to lash back at the doctors for saying, actually, there wasn't a murderer here, it was you with your medical negligence, Breery and Jair. And well, then they're I'm not sure they'll go that way. They should, like I say, in truth, in honour, in justice, they should go that way, but they'd have to be almost like better than they probably are, should we put it that way, you know, because that, you know, what's the potential prison term for I keep forgetting the phrase, gross negligence manslaughter. What is it? 5 years, 10 years? Is that what it is? Something like that. Perhaps somebody could look that up. I might look it up later on. The potential prison sentence for something like that. I know we're early days anyway, aren't we? So Mike Lynch. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Julie. Mike Lynch eventually won, but it destroyed his life. Thank you. I didn't get the link, but I'll look into that another time. So he eventually won. So they tried to discredit him, but he fought it. But it destroyed his life. But he realised what a basket case the so-called justice system is, and then obviously had empathy and sympathy and could relate to what's happened to Lucy Letby. Tracy Heaford-Crewe has said, wouldn't it be RV managers, i.e. Crown versus managers, if it did go to court? I think it probably would be, wouldn't it? Yes, it would be. Yes, I think it would be that. It would be a criminal trial because it comes under criminal law, wouldn't it? And it's not. It's Rex, isn't it? Rather, it's Rex of e-managers. That's what it is, isn't it? Thank you, Tracy. The public wouldn't be likely to agree with that. Sadly, what the public agree with and what they end up doing is they'll just do it anyway, wouldn't they? They'll just do it. But there'll be elements of the public that will want this, because they believe that there's a serial killer rightfully in jail, and they think, well, let's get the people now. They'll be rubbing their hands together, crime scene to courtroom, saying he'll be covering that case and saying, yeah, well, I was watching Tony Chambers in the doc, yeah, and he looks very suspicious today. You know, I was there for the whole trial. You know. Anyway, don't want to go off track there. Not the comment myself, I mean. Owen Matthews says, by making these arrests, they're grabbing the wrong end of the stick. Well, for them, in truth, they are. Well, but for them, it's the right end of it's their stick. Their stick is that they've put a serial killer in prison. So their stick, the extension of their stick, to keep the analogy going, another bit of their stick is to now let's get the people that allowed the serial killer to act with impunity when these heroic doctors were telling them. And they blocked these heroic doctors from all their struggles and all the nightmares that they went through every night. And if only the management would have... I know it's all bullshit, but that's the story that they've laid on us all. Melanistic Marble says, my gut feeling is that the lead consultants downplayed what Alison Timmis wrote in her email, assuming managers asked about it, but who knows? Yeah, we don't know the email sequence or the meetings that were brought in which you'd think that, wouldn't you, as a manager, you get that email from Alison Timmis, you call all the consultants in, and he's got the meeting, there's a table around there, everyone's there. Well, maybe not Jayaram because he's doing some clown show somewhere. But the rest of them are there and say, look, I've just had this email from Alison. Alison, I'm going to read out your email here. You're saying babies are going to die on the unit and staff are having breakdowns. What does everyone else feel about this? What do they say? Oh, no, that's just Alison. She's just had a bad day. No, we're fine. And all the babies are well all the time. And things, what did old Hughes, not old Hughes, what did that Hughes knob say? You know, that he apparently allegedly gleaned from the hospital. Unexpected things never happen. Everything's expected all the time. Nothing unexpected ever happens. Everybody knows when everything's going to happen at all times, always, forever, in the past, now, and in the future. That's what he seems to put across, didn't he, in that Hummingbird video? Yeah, who knows, as you say. Chip and Pin, great name, like it. One. We're all going that way, unfortunately. No, hopefully not. Wearables into, what do they call it? The wearables into the, I can't think of the word now. Insertables, whatever. Maybe that's something else. One can view this as a backhanded attempt to get evidence into a court in an expedited matter from the 26 experts who maintained that there were no murders to begin with. Well, I would like to think that was possible if it were not coming from Cheshire Police. Because it's coming from them, I see it as the fruit of the rotten tree. Just hearing the quotes, I'm a sort of agnostic, but I do like the quotes. Some of the quotes is that A bad tree can't give good fruit. Cheshire Police is a bad tree, and it's not going to be giving any good fruit. It won't be giving any good fruit. So it's doing it as a further consolidation, another bit of the stick. Its stick that it beat Lucy Letby into incarceration with. And it's consolidating what he's already done. I mean, unless again they've had some road to Damascus moment of their own and suddenly decided to be honourable people and suddenly decide to care about the truth. The law of unintended consequences, though, might be something different. These are only my opinions, and I respect everyone's viewpoints here, and that's what this live's about, and I really appreciate all these viewpoints. They're fantastic to hear them all. And it is a conundrum why they're doing it, or not conundrum, it opens up many questions, doesn't it? Operation Hummingbird, Owen Matthews says, video on YouTube is still open for comments. Oh, wow. God. Yeah, they took that off for a while, didn't they? And then they put it back. Do you know, I think some of them look at that and look at the comments and they laugh about it. I think that's the level of, I'm talking about within that police outfit. They probably, you know, in their downtime when they're having a kebab, you know, they look at the comments and just have a laugh about it. That's the level of crassness that they've got there. Peter Russell said, link to Talk TV video mentioned earlier. I think Mike Neville got his facts wrong. Thank you. Hi, Rachel. Nice to see you. Nice to see you there. Why are they still saying that they failed to prevent the murders? Well, because that's what the narrative was. That's the narrative that got Lucy Letby falsely, wrongly incarcerated for crimes not only that she did not commit, but that did not happen. It's almost a kind of necessary next step if you believe the first step. If the first step's legitimate, which it obviously isn't, then this is the next legitimate step. Well, who allowed her to do it then? Who allowed her to do it? But it's not being used just for that reason. It's being used, I believe, it's my viewpoint, in a totally cynical way at this point in time for a very particular reason, because of the CCRC application, and to float out there, put the frighteners out a little bit, as it were, to say, look, we're still the power in the land. We're the Cheshire Police, and we can arrest other people here. And by the way, we're still looking into, which is what he did, Hughes, in this report, whoever he's spoken to. He said, we're still looking into Liverpool Women's Hospital. You'll never hear anything. No charges will ever be brought in relation to that. But until Lucy Letby's exonerated, they'll still be banging on and still be throwing that out there as a kind of measure of the power that they've still got. We're still looking into that, by the way, you know, doing nothing about it. They've not done anything about it in years. Going back to a subject that I did a number of videos about, I know other people have as well, you know, whether it's 25 or 2 lots of 25 cases that Evans sent them of suspicious for harm. They've done nothing with that for years as well. You know, in some of those cases, potentially up to 5 or even 7 years, they've done nothing with that, depending on what reporting you believe and whether you believe Evans, or whatever we believe, actually. Anyway, Chip and Pin says it would seem to be in their own self-interest for the hospital executive administration now to pursue a there were no murders defence, and that they will then make the decision of the CCRC much easier. I mean, it could be. I mean, it just seems it might be that they might feel damned whatever way they tip. There is the other element here that these people aren't, as far as I'm aware, I think for a time Ian Harvey was working somewhere else. I don't think those two main guys, Harvey and Mr. Harvey and Tony Chambers, are still working in the NHS. I may be wrong about that. I don't think they are. Now, who the third person is, I think there's 2 or 3 main names we can consider there, isn't there? I think one of them will be one of the nursing managers. I think that may be the case in these 3 arrests. So does that make a difference? It's not that the fact that they're former NHS employees, does that free them up in a different way now? If they were still working for the NHS, that'd be different. Does it give them a different kind of latitude about different kinds of defence that they might want to mount, or how courageous they might be feeling because they no longer work for the NHS? Are their pensions safe is another question. Melanistic Marble says, this is a fantastic live, Mark. We're up to 40 likes. Thank you, Melanistic Marble. Anyone watching who hasn't clicked like, please do so, as it helps to spread the word. I might come to I might bring it to, I don't want to bring it to a close suddenly, but I might do it before by 2 hours, really, because I'm getting a bit tired, and unless somebody else wants to come on to actually talk as well. The comments are absolutely fantastic, and I hope I've read out as many of them as I can. I'm sorry if I missed anybody's, but that's the main reason to do the live, is really to have this back and forth and conversation. Whether it is with other people on camera or not is secondary, but to have the conversation through the text here and reading it out. Hi Maz, nice to see you. Maz says they're well-paid media consultants, and media lackeys know that the public will go full witch hunt again when the managers are arrested. Well, that's true. There will be that response. Because it will whip them up again, and they love it. They want to be whipped up again. And there's the contingent, quite large contingent of people still there, they're there for it. They'll be there. They'll be mad for it. They'll be there for it, salivating for it. Crime scene to courtroom will be there for it as well. Follow if that did reach a trial. Let's see if we can see Ian Harvey and dissect his character from a distance, and he can, anyway, all that kind of crap that we had before. The managers are easy bogeyman targets for the failing health system. Well, they are, but they're also, their job here is to prop up the injustice. Their main job that they're being made to do, or being pushed into, the false position they're being pushed into, is to prop up the miscarriage of justice. That's what they're being used for, and that's why if there had been no backlash, consider this, if you will. What's that old show? Consider this, if you will. Anyway, was it Outer Limits or something? Imagine if you will, there had been no backlash. There'd been not backlash. There'd been no remonstrance. There'd been no outcry. There'd been none of us, no one, no David Davis, no New Yorker, all the people. Could spend half an hour listing everybody, or hours and hours actually. Many thousands of people. And everyone would go, oh yeah, so that's another shipman, that's another serial killer, and there'd be nothing at all. Would they have gone for the management after that? I don't think so. They wouldn't have needed to, and they don't want to go for high status people, and they see them as high status people, but because now they're instrumental people, doesn't matter what their status was now. They can be relegated to part of the problem. And the problem they've got is that there's been this massive pushback against this injustice. And that's the problem that the police, the system as a whole, is trying to wheedle and worm its way out of, Robin Hood says, Peter Russell, I think so. I think he can, that's to do with this guy, this Mike guy. You confused when Dr. Yes, that's a major, yeah. So whoever this guy is on Talk TV, yeah, he's obviously not up to speed with it. She didn't, yeah, that's a kind of, that didn't. Andy Howdog, hi Andy, it says Cheshire police are now corrupt, yeah, are now, were, and will be. It's official, yeah, it's definitely official. They've reacted to being led up the garden path by walking the length and width of the garden. Pathetic, yeah, it's all garden, but it's garden. They're leading. Well, they're happy to. but for them, it's a great success. You see, it's they're consolidating their success. That's the other way to look at it. It's the fight back. They're punching back, as it were. Another way to look at it is they're going from strength to strength here. Not only have they been super successful, so that Hugh's got an SIO of the Year award, nice little something put on his mantelpiece. They're going to get greater honours. They're going to be thought even better of now by their chums in the Chief Executive Club and all that, and other people. Maybe he'll even be given an MBE eventually, Hughes, or whatever. You know, they're doing something else heroic. They've gone from a brilliant investigation to yet another brilliant investigation, and leaving no stone unturned. That's how they want to present it to the world. That's how we're meant to receive it. But we don't receive it like that. Receive it like they're a bunch of bastards. Well, I do anyway. Liz says, hi Liz, in my opinion, it's almost like, I'm gonna have some water. I wish it was wine. I'm quite pleased to see there are no trolls tonight. I don't know, it's just been lucky, I guess. Maybe they thought I'd given up on their lives. In my opinion, it's almost like they have made them hitch to the wagon at Thirlwall to enable the arrests at the later date. That's interesting. That's an interesting reading of it. Thanks so much, Liz. Yes, in a sense, it's become a fait accompli that they end up. That is the status where they're at. That is the status where they're at. So if you are going to go for someone, yeah, get them attached to the original narrative, and then you say, well, no, you've agreed that there were murders now, haven't you? You said it at Thirlwall, so you can't now have a defence to say that, oh, we don't think she's guilty of anything. You're hitched to it. Whether they planned that or whether they what's the word when you don't plan something, but they take advantage of it. They take advantage of it. It's mercenary, the mercenary nature of it. I think it's possibly, my opinion is it leans more towards the secondary one. I'm not sure they're that clever, but they might be that clever in a devious way. They might indeed be. Set Lucy free and arrest Jairam. Absolutely, Mark. I totally agree. Mike N says, Mike Lynch, co-defendant, died in a car accident days before the yacht sinking. Thanks, Mike. So we've got Mike Lynch dying in the yacht. Is that right? And then his friend dying in a car accident. Is that the jogging? But is that the death related to jogging, or is that a third death? Liz says, yes, Melanistic. This is a fantastic note. Oh, thank you. Thank you all, actually. Well, it's everybody that's making it work. Life in prison is the max. Oh, life in prison. Thanks, Bernie. That's in relation to the question I asked about gross negligence manslaughter. Life in prison is the max. Lucy Letby analysis. It says online, thank you, that the sentencing can be anything from 1 to 18 years, depending on severity. So there's a bit of a difference of viewpoint there in terms of gross negligence manslaughter. Right. I'm assuming that those two contiguous answers are related to the same question that I posed about what's the maximum sentence in relation to gross negligence manslaughter. Evening all. Hi, Michael. Miss Q says, they will only be prosecuted for not having stopped Lucy from murdering babies, not for their negligence in terms of the bad management of the hospital and service and bad quality of the medical service. No, because those stories work against each other. Exactly, Miss Q. You've got to have one or the other. And to stick with the original, which obviously, why would they not want to stick with the original story? Because the original story is that they got the right person in prison for murdering babies. You've got to stick with the original story is that there wasn't a bad quality of medical service generally, and all the babies were healthy and they all crashed for inexplicable reasons, inexplicable other than murder. So they have to go one way or the other, and the only way that they can go is Hobson's choice, is in relation to it's yeah, the crime of the management is that they didn't stop Lucy Letby. They could have stopped her murdering babies. It does bring this other thing out. Other people have alluded to and mentioned that, well, okay, if you're going to take it to the bridge, as they say, you're going to take it to the bridge, you're going to bring this into court for that. Well, we'll get our legal team, we'll get Jayaram in here, and we'll ask, well, why didn't you report it to the police then? So it will drag them in, won't it? And then you've got the issue of, well, do the police really want Jayaram and Breary, their heroic team members, dragged in and to receive that opprobrium while going after the management? Because it doesn't come, what's that phrase from Shakespeare? Trouble doesn't come as single spies, it comes as battalions. So for them, in terms of their original story, the police's story, the system story, justice system story, when they go after the management, it doesn't leave. It can't make it. It must bring the consultants in a way that will be very bad for them. It must do, mustn't it? Because those managers will be fighting for their liberty then, and they'll go all out, and they'll bring in Jayaram and they'll cross-examine him. Will they not? I'm assuming this will be the case, unless there's so many deals done behind the curtains, that games and levels of games that we don't even know about here. Thank you, Miss Q. Miss Q follows it up. Mark, exactly. Any which way we look at this, it won't help our Lucy. They won't ever let her out. Well, they won't ever let her out. They've got to be forced. They've got to be forced to do it. And this brings to mind I can't remember the gentleman's name. One of the wrongly convicted members of the Birmingham Six, who said it wasn't the justice system that got us out. It was the public. Generally speaking, yes, there was a mechanism that eventually needed it to go through the hallowed halls of that justice system, but it was the force and the impetus and the drive was from a much wider base and a non-professionally legal base, and that's what that. I'm sorry, I forget that gentleman's name. One of the people who was wrongly convicted and spent many years in prison, part of the Birmingham Six. Ruth Bashford says, Cheshire Constabulary are loath to admit they got it wrong, and these arrests are just a PR stunt, in my opinion. Yes, it's so wrong. It's so egregious. It's not like saying there's no oops to get out of this. It's not like, oh, well, sorry about that. Sorry about that. And the ramifications, as I was trying to put across in the video the other night, it doesn't end with, oh, this is as huge as it is, as vast as it is, as a terrible miscarriage of justice. It doesn't end there. It's all the sequelae that follow in relationship to the NHS, to neonatology as a whole, to the potential domino effect as a whole, to jury trials, to the whole concept of expert witnesses, to the CPS, to every element of it. It's like, if the dam breaks, it's all going to break. He's not just going to get this little stream of water pouring through with the Cheshire Police. I'm not saying anybody's saying that. I'm just saying that it's not just going to, it's all going to, oh yeah, sorry, our bad, Cheshire Police, we'll bung Lucy Letby some money and it'll all go away. No, that's when it explodes. That's when it goes stratospheric in all directions. And it should do. And they all know that. That's why this case is ultra political. It's an ultra politicized and political case now, more than ever it was. I think it always was, to a degree. You could always take a reading of it in that way, but now it's to a much higher level. Cup of tea evening, Michael. Ruth Bashford, does anybody know who was arrested? Well, I think everyone's assuming certainly two names, the two main guys, Mr. Chambers, Mr. Oh God, Harvey, and the third one. I think people are suggesting various names. Miss Q, Marks. This won't help her, Lucy. They will only be used to reinforce Lucy's culpability. Well, yes, it's reinforcing the original story, and in a sense, it's a sort of necessary step in continuing to state the veracity of the original story. This is where you would go next, and this is where they feel they'll be asked to go next. But it's not the only purpose of it. It's meant to create a bit of a chill factor here in the context of all these multifaceted attacks against their investigation and against the prosecution as a whole. NT says, hi NT, I don't think for a single second that the managers are going to take this lying down. Oh no, they certainly won't take it lying down. They're not going to give themselves up to going to prison for X number of years or do a plea deal to say no, they're going to fight it. And that's where we don't know what will come out of their fighting it. And that's the kind of wild card element of it, that if the police push it to that level, that's where Nemesis comes in, potentially along this route of it, for them, for the system, for the police. I almost spat my tea out when I saw arrogant, lying Ravi Jayaram on the news. Oh, he's back on the news, but no mention of the hidden email. Oh no, yeah, I don't want to mention that. Don't mention that. Just mention the deluded sort of tour. Anyway, I still don't know whether. No, I won't. Sorry, I won't sidetrack myself. Lucy Letby Analysis says Ian Harvey has retired and lives in France. I thought he had, yeah, because I remember seeing some clips where they tracked him down there. They tracked him down to his French home and asked him for tried to do a bit of a off-the-cuff interview, didn't they? I don't think Tony Chambers is working for the NHS anymore. There was an interim period of time in which either both or one of those two main guys was working, and they'd been criticised for it, that they were working somewhere else and in a higher paying job. I think that was some of the, I can't remember the exact details of that, but I think that was some time ago now. Michael says, if the police proceed to charge them and there is a court case, surely all defence is already identified. A world-class panel of 14 experts for a start. Well, this is the conundrum we're in now, Michael. This is what really made me want to do this live, is that would that be their defence? Could they afford to make that their defence? Do they jump that way? Do they have a legal counsel that says to them, no, you're not going to do that. You must be insane. You can't ally yourself to someone who's already been convicted of 7 murders. What are you doing? We've got to fight this a different way. We've got to fight this to saying, yes, of course you acknowledge it's regrettable and everything, but we did everything by the book. And you can't prove that we were that we were negligent. We didn't reach the bar for that. Our omissions didn't reach the bar for that. Chip and Pin says, the police probably want the administrators to be the one to point the finger at the consultants for poor care rather than continue to point at Lucy Letby for murder. Yeah, these are really fascinating points, and this is really mixes it up, doesn't it? This mixes it up because it's like, in a sense, what this could start to do, it's not that, it's not that the consultants and the doctors have been on this unified side since the convictions. They certainly haven't been, and they weren't before them, or were they really? Because the story that Jayaram was telling, they're all saying is, oh God, our regret is we should have done it before. If only we were listened to. If only us consultants were listened to. But, we did what we could, or we could have picked up the phone and rang the police, but we did what we could. How did that ever wash, But to tease out all the potentials here, it is extraordinary. There's just so many ways it could go. And it could go in ways that that the police can't foresee. And that's where I I can relate to the things that people are saying, well, this is going to bite them, but how it's going to bite them and how it's going to fall out, I don't know. It certainly could lead, as Chip and Pin says here, suggests that it will turn. What we've not seen publicly, have we not? We haven't seen it, have we? We've heard the consultants berating the management holistically and saying, oh God, if it weren't for them, you know, we could have stopped some of the murders. We did our best. They didn't listen to us. What we haven't seen are the administrators put under pressure now, and now potentially under pressure of being sent to prison, whereby their way of defending themselves is to go on the attack. And who do they go on the attack to? Not Lucy. I'm not saying by that they don't say murders didn't happen. I'm not sure they could go that far. But what they could do is go for the consultants in various ways. But it's, you see what I mean? I'm sure everyone understands what I'm trying to say. It's like, well, if they do that, how far can they take it? How far can the management take it? They can't. They've either got to go all in supporting Lucy Letby as a defence if it reaches that point, in which case they would be pointing the finger at the consultants, but they'd also have to be kind of pointing the finger at themselves as well as defending themselves against gross negligence of manslaughter. They'd kind of have to be defending themselves against managing a hospital that was dangerous, a unit that was dangerous, and not knowing about it, and they should have known about it. So they'd be reflexively both defending themselves and attacking themselves at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense. T&RS says, a lot of mental focus required for live streams. You've done a brilliant job, Mark. Thank you. It's almost like a game of chess. Well, it's like a game of chess, but it's also like pigeon chess. You know, that thing about playing chess with a pigeon is that, the quintessential player of pigeon chess. The thing about pigeon chess, you know, you can play chess with a pigeon and you think you're going to beat it, but it just knocks all the pieces over and shits over the board. And they're allowed to do it to a certain extent. And Evans is the quintessential pigeon chess player, because he just goes, well, no, I just changed my mind. No, just changed my mind. And so there's no, don't play by the rules. So it's a game of chess that they can just decide ad hoc that a pawn can move like a rook or like a bishop. Don't worry, it will work out in the end. Yeah, it will work out in the end. I agree, Bonnie. It will work out in the end. Lucy Letby will be exonerated. But there's such ramifications coming out of it that are incalculable. And they know that. They suspect it. The Vista, you know, that Vista thing that what's his name? I forgot his name. Denning. The appalling Vista. It's that to a power of 1,000, you know. Not just about the justice system. That's crucial, I think. Tracy Heaford Crew, there's far more support for Lucy now, which the managers should consider. They certainly should consider that. And their legal defense, their legal team should also consider it when they're advising them. I agree. Cup of Tea with Poetry says, yes, Benita, the truth always comes out in the end. Truth is powerful. It is powerful. It's always there. It's there. It's true whether, even if only one person, even if nobody believes it, it's still there. It's extant. It exists. It's existential. Ruth Bashford says, I don't believe there'll be any charges against the manager. I kind of have a lot of sympathy for that. I don't think they're going to go for it. I think they're just floating it out there, you know, a bit like the Liverpool Women's Hospital thing. How can a team of international renowned neonatologists be ignored? It's not as if any medical expert is supporting evidence. Well, when they're going, if they're going, and to the degree they're going to the management, for the management, it's based on the fait accompli as they see it. The fait accompli is the convictions, and the thus far the appeals have been denied and the CCRC yet to report. We know that. This is why the timing is curious, is it not? You would have thought they would have waited. It's a strategic move by the police to do it before. If the CCRC were to expedite it and give a report by early summer, as Mark McDonald hoped they would, you would have thought it would have been wise for the police to hold this back. And obviously, if Lucy Letby is exonerated, then you wouldn't go there at all, would you? Because then you're trying to charge somebody for gross criminal negligence for crimes that never occurred, which is actually what they're trying to do. Which is what they're trying to do. Cheshire Police will still be led by the nose by Ravi Jayaram and Stephen Breary, absolute brainless idiots. And they want to be led by the nose because they're invested. Their professional, I don't know if the word pride is right, but their professionalism is all it's all invested in it. The whole system's invested in it now. The machine of it. They're a part of the machine of it. Ali, I think I'm sorry, everybody. I think I'm going to probably have to bring it to the close now. There's a lot of I've got quite a lot. I got massively behind in the. I don't want to pick some and miss some out. I got really behind in the, but it will all come up when I put it on because it's coming up to 2 hours now. Oh, sorry, and perhaps I'll try to do a little bit more because some things are coming out, but I didn't want to do it suddenly in a rude way. NT has said it's Alison Kelly. Do we know it's Alison Kelly? Is that right, or is that a supposition? I'm not saying you're supposing it. Is it something you've come across officially reported, NT? Because I think everybody was very firm about Ian Harvey and Tony Chambers. I'm sorry about many of the other comments that most in the last 5 or 10 minutes I haven't read out. But I'm going to have to bring it to a close. I'm getting quite tired, mentally tired. So it could be Alison Kelly. That's what NT is saying. Perhaps there is a report saying that specifically. I'm going to leave it there actually because I have to feel a bit tired. I'm sorry I didn't read all the, but they'll all be there when it's repeated. So people, if other people want to watch the live, if they didn't catch the live, as they say, then they can see the comments that were made there. And thank you all so very, very much, everybody that's commented and the people that have listened, whether they've commented or not, that have been part of this live. You've made it really great, and I really, really appreciate everybody coming to it and the fantastic input from everybody and from everyone who has listened to it as well. And for when this is no longer live, thank you for listening to this live. I'll put this as a thing now for people who may, hopefully other people will want to listen to it as well and read the comments and hear the comments that I've read out that have been put there and read the ones that I didn't read out. So thank you all ever so much. I'm going to bring it to a close now and perhaps do another live another time. This has kind of whetted, no, that's not the right phrase. It hasn't whetted my appetite. It's just that it's been a relief actually on the score of, I haven't seen any trolls in here. It's been a very different experience. And perhaps in a future one, other people may also like to come in and they don't necessarily have to be on camera. They could just be on audio and they could, you could hear them verbally, hear them speaking. But thank you all so much. And all the comments, the ones I missed out at the end, will obviously be there available for people to read when they watch the live after it's gone live. There's probably a phrase for that. Anyway, good night everyone, and God bless. And it is going to work, as I can't remember who said it. The truth is going to come out. Well, the truth is out. The truth is out there, but order will be in this matter will be restored and it will be put right. Thank you all and good night. I'm going to end the stream now. Cheerio. Take care, everybody.